came out of a challenge.
Welcome to episode 2 in season 3 of Hopecast, the platform where we share extraordinary stories from the lives of ordinary people. So joining us in episode 2 is none other than Mr. Robin Russell. Welcome, Robin.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be with us. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Okay, so Robin, you are a businessman. Everybody know you as almost the quintessential businessman in Montego Bay. Yes, man. So you also started an all-inclusive hotel at a place and at a size that many persons didn't think was even feasible. So how did the idea for that particular business model come about?
Well, it came out of a challenge. And one of the challenges that we found that we ended up with 90 rooms, but we only had 15 car spaces for parking. So we knew that if we were going to attract and fill up those rooms, that we had to attract persons who didn't drive. So how do you attract persons that don't drive? And we said it had to be tourist related. And from there we said, what's the plan that works versus the all-inclusive versus EPs? And we just made it work as an all-inclusive.
You gave them something that allowed them to stay there so they wouldn't need to be driving.
Right. So, you had to be shuttled in. Tourists don't drive. So you shuttle in, you shuttle out. But what we did, which made us unique, is we were in the middle of the strip. We didn't have a beach. And we didn't see that as a negative. We used that as an opportunity for those persons who wanted to feel Jamaica, not locked behind walls, but also wanted the convenience of food and alcohol paid for in their vacation.
So I think you actually tricked the crowd because being so well located on the strip, I don't think many persons are really taking up an all-inclusive value. They're really enjoying those amenities on the strip. So it's best of both worlds.
That's exactly what it is. So as the traveler, and we've seen where travelers, the trends have changed in that they want to experience more. It's more about the experience. We give them that experience. Persons are able to just come out and walk and do shopping. They're able to go to different restaurants or different nightclubs without having to pay, transportation. So, they went to Doctor's Cave Beach. They met Jamaicans, which is a big part of why you want to travel. You want to meet people. You want to experience what the true culture is. And that's what we give them.
Yeah. So your name is Deja Resort. What does that mean, that word, Deja?
Well, when we put the business plan together, that was done pretty quickly. We were able to put the numbers together and we were able to conceptualize what we wanted. But it took us 6 months to find a name. We just, it's a family business. And all of us had our own names and all of us argued and we just couldn't. So we did find a name, and then you run it on the internet and you find out that it is something in Indonesia. And then, all right, we have to go back to the drawing board. And it just took us forever
to come up with Deja.
I mean, to the point where when we were going for bank financing and the bank is like, all right, what's the name of the business? What's the name of the place? And I'm like, and then my brother just came up with a name, and I think everybody was like, yeah.
That can work.
That can work. Of Jamaica, Day of Jamaica, Day. So it's really a play on words, but actually it's just a name,
And that's really cool because when I heard Deja, I thought of deja vu, which almost has something to do with already. Or seeing something twice. So I thought that it was from there, meaning you feel like you've had it already, making it more familiar and that kind of a thing. So it's, best of both worlds.
It's the best of both worlds.
Yeah. Many entrepreneurs, they kind of struggle with funding and financing. And you mentioned financing going to the different institutions. For an entrepreneur right now that's having to almost troubleshoot, they don't have a clue how this thing works. What would you recommend as the best step to getting all of your funds together?
The best step I would say is putting everything on paper. Really sitting down and crunching the numbers and not crunch the high number. but making sure that the low number works. What is the bare minimum sales that I have to do to make it work? And when people do that, they then can assess what the business needs to do. And when they're able to have a successful business plan, then they can even start to speak to financial institutions. So the first thing is you have to be very pessimistic and not optimistic about what your business will look like. You really have to look at the worst cases, because that's how the bank will look at it. They will look at it that in case of and we're not going to say a shock.
In case of a COVID.
In case, we're not going to go that far, but yeah, the banks need to look at it. Okay, during very slow seasons, or if it doesn't pick up in time, what is your alternative? What are your expenses versus your revenue?
So one of the things that I've also noticed about Deja is that the brand is almost very personal for the people who visit there. Like, people come back. People come back. I have family that have stayed at Deja, and I'm like, guys, I'm really close by, and I don't think they hate me, but they're like, oh no, and they'll call a name from Deja Resort. No, I remember this lady, that person, like, they made me feel comfortable. I'm okay with staying in a hotel as opposed to staying with family. So what is that kind of singular value that you kind of try to instill in staff to keep a customer base?
It's just giving them giving them the freedom to be themselves. So I have had staff that have invited guests to church. I know some other properties might look at it as you're exposing the brand and you're exposing your staff to if something goes wrong. I've had staff that takes guests to the market. And some people will frown on it and say, how could you take my guests to the market? Suppose they get robbed, but that's what Jamaica is. And it's good and the bad, and that's what people are coming to see. They want to come and walk into the market and eat a sweet sop right there, or and see the colorful people that we are and experience it. And I give my staff the freedom to do that. They're able to interact with the guests and laugh and chat, and it's not fake.
Yeah, there's no great separation between two just regular humans interacting.
Yeah. And it's genuine, that's what it is. It's really genuine, and being able to not recite, hi, welcome today. It's
not mechanic.
No, where I say, what you doing here? I'm happy to see you. And they've really forged relationships. I'm so surprised that we get these letters from guests and these WhatsApps. I was like, the guests come back? Yeah, I talk to them every week. Some of them travel, and when they travel, they go look for them. And I'm like, how you know? I say, yeah, Mr. Russell, I talk to them on WhatsApp. Them send me pictures of them grandchildren and them children. And I'm like, all right.
And that's a great marketing tool. And we are, I think, some of our people, in the industry, we are the best marketers of it because we are Jamaican.
Word of mouth.
Yes, and being Jamaican, we are Jamaica.
Exactly.
Yeah. But apart from that, is there any particular marketing strategy? I mean, we came out of COVID, marketing looked way different. At some point, it didn't make sense, during that time versus now. What are some marketing strategies that you employ for a property like Deja?
So I would say that we think big. So we are a smaller property, but we think big. So we do all the travel shows, or not all, but we do the ones that we can do with the Jamaica Tourist Board, or we travel and we sign contracts with the bigger travel agencies and tour operators and all of that stuff. So although we are small, we think big. We're not going to be limited by our room size. We're going to do what we can to put our name out there. And some people even say, why do we sign you? You're so small. And we're like, hey, don't worry about us. It'll work out.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break to go into our positivity segment. We closed out by saying, think big. Don't matter the size of your operation, think big. Position it in the larger market space. Now, let's go to our positivity segment, and then we'll be right back. And now we are right back. So I really hope you enjoyed that positivity segment. It's always really good to hear the views of our young people and of everyone that has been continuously watching Hopecast. So I know as a businessman, Mr. Russell, like when I say I appreciate you being here, I really do, because I know the hours in your day are not 9 to 5. On a typical work day, how does that day look? I don't want to ask you how many hours you work, because I know that's 24. So how does the day look?
You know, people, it's strange. It just depends on your day. So when we first opened Asia, it was 24 hours. There are many nights where my sister and I, we slept at Asia on the couch because we had numbers to crunch or we had stuff to do. But I would say that as the place has evolved and as we have empowered our staff to act more and be more, responsible and able to make decisions, and my work day has gotten easier, and that's what I love about it, is that, we've given the staff the opportunity to make decisions. So some of them have made bad decisions. And in making those bad decisions, we correct them according and say, okay, this is how you should have done it the next time. But make the decision. It's not about having to call me, and I'll tell them, don't call me.
Figure it out.
Figure it out. And tomorrow, if you made a bad decision, we'll discuss it and we'll say how you make a better decision. But because of that, it really has given me the opportunity for time for myself and also time to explore other projects. So operationally, I have been able to separate myself a little bit from Deja. I go to work and I see what's happening and I oversee, and we have meetings that we discuss. But I allow the operations of the Deja to do their own thing. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, we're able to explore, other projects. If there's something else happening, I'm able to use my mind in that way.
Yes, and it allows your mind the time to relax.
Definitely.
So that you can think creatively, so that you can actually be a decision maker if challenges arise, as opposed to being stuck in the grind of every day. Is there anything in particular that you do for your mental health to keep yourself restful and at peace, so that, we don't have any quarrel and big shout up out the road?
Exercise always is a key to being successful. And finding that time to do it is very important. When you exercise, I play squash right now. I used to play tennis, but what I notice is that you go on the court and the world is on your shoulders, and when you come off, you feel a little bit better. You've been able to free up your muscles and therefore free up your mind.
Yeah. How does that now impact your family life better? Because you and Shari don't have to be up until 2 a.m. anymore. So how has that helped with your overall family life?
Oh, it has definitely given us the freedom to do what we need to do, and if any one of us have outside obligations where Shari's going to be missing for a little bit, her children are doing GSAT or whatever, and she needs the time to do that, she's able to take it because she has put things in place that the place can run without her, or I can fill in for her when she's not there, and it's vice versa. And it has made it that much more fulfilling that you're able to have that balance and not just be stuck at one place, sacrificing other things.
At the end of the day, when you look back at it, how do you define the successful transition? I don't even want to say that, no. How do you define the overall success as Deja, if you could put it in a word? I know you said you think pessimistic, but still we want to define it. How do you define success?
I think success is only achieved through balance. Mm-hmm. Success cannot be judged on a bank account. Success has to be judged on your value of life. So, and that's why you heard me emphasize your physical as well as your mental. It's very important, because it makes no sense in making money if you are stressed. It makes no sense if you're making money and you're not able to enjoy the life that you're living. And you can't enjoy those things if you don't have people around you to enjoy it with. So it makes no sense in being successful and your children hate you because you don't spend time with them, you never get to go to the football matches, or your wife is, you're going to get a divorce and you're unhappy. It makes no sense. So success has to be a balance, and you just have to play that balance.
So a big part of success is maintaining that balance, that inner harmony, so that all your actions align with all that you truly believe, so you don't have any kind of internal conflict. When we have those is when we become the angry people out in the world. What's your favorite part about being an entrepreneur?
The favorite part is also the worst part, in that you are the master of your destiny. You're able to make those decisions, and you are responsible. And the flip side is also the bad part, in that you are always responsible. At no point, even when you're on vacation, can you disconnect and say, it's the boss's problem that went up on vacation and turn off your phone. I have never been able to turn off my phone. But as I said before, it's through empowerment or through having responsible people around you, you're able to take that time, you're able to create that balance. But being an entrepreneur, especially in the hotel business, is tough, because it's a 24-hour business. It's you're dealing with guests, you're dealing with staff issues, you're dealing with maintenance issues. So it is tough, but it's fulfilling.
Yeah, it's fulfilling. Is that what makes it so satisfying? The challenge, the continued challenge, not without a break, but the kind of challenge that keeps your mind going. Does that make it more satisfying than?
Definitely. I think the most satisfying thing is because I always tell my managers, including myself, it's not about managing the facilities, it's about managing people. That's what true management is about. It's not about managing the water flowing through your pipes or stuff. It's about managing people. And when you're able to see people grow and you're able to see people develop, that is the most satisfying part of Deja for me. When you're able to see that persons themselves are making their next generation better, and they're because they are now smarter, or they are now they're able to send their children to school, and they understand why they're sending their children to school, not just because Pitney must go to school. So that is the most satisfying part to me, is that you're seeing the development of your staff, you're seeing the value, the impact, yes, and the value that they get out of working.
Yes. For the persons that are listening right now, and maybe they didn't even think about being an entrepreneur before, or maybe they kind of had a half pencil markup paper calling it a business plan, but they're thinking, you know what, I can probably do this, I can actually do this, I can put in the work and grind. What's some advice that you would give them? Them young, they're like just leaving college.
First thing I would have to say, as I said, put it on paper. Yes, it's a great idea, but great ideas don't always translate to success. Yeah. Put it on paper, and putting it on paper doesn't mean that it is stuck on paper. So you're going to open a restaurant and it's going to be a Chinese restaurant. All right?
It can always become Japanese.
It can always become Japanese. It can always become Jamaican, because your market will determine where you go.
Got you.
But you have to stick to the plan. You have to have a basic plan and you have to stick to it. So I'll give you an example. When we first came out with Deja and we said we were going all inclusive, it was every single person told us it couldn't work. Every expert, every
study, every
analysis, even your guests were saying this is not going to work.
And they were guests.
And these were guests. So it was extremely challenging. Many times we sat down as a group and said, this is not working. We were running 5%, 10% occupancies, and we questioned what we were doing. Yeah. But we did have the resolve to say, this was the plan. This is the time frame for the plan to work. So we said, okay, after 6 months, If it really doesn't work, we can then review it.
What happened after 6 months?
We saw where it started to
They made me move from 10 to 40.
30. But we saw improvement.
Yeah.
And as long as we see improvement, then it
Then
means
it
that we continue with the plan. So if we were at 10% and we're still at 10 and we're still at 10, okay, great. We have to review what we were doing. But 10 to 12 to 13 to 22, okay, we're improving.
Every +1 is a +1.
Every +1 is a +1.
Yeah. If you had the chance to do it again, is there anything you would do differently?
Probably not. I think I won't say we did it perfect, but the mistakes we made also taught us to be better. So we didn't use a mistake as a negative. We used a mistake as a positive.
As a rung on a ladder. Yeah. So are there any key activities that you would leave with someone? So apart from those that we mentioned for balance, talking about building a business now, is there any one key activity that you would say to an entrepreneur, hey, focus on this in the developmental stage, not just the numbers, but we start now, the doors are open. Focus on this.
Focus on building wealth. So what I would say is, in your plan, have it that you are building wealth. So don't take money out of the business because you are building wealth. And in building wealth, you need wealth to build wealth.
Yeah.
You don't need a new car to
So
build
keep
wealth.
investing in, put everything back in.
Put everything back in. So yes, take your money out, get yourself paid. That is important. And pay yourself well enough to live and to enjoy your life. But that is your pay, and you live your life on your pay. But the business also needs its pay.
Its own revenue, its own pay.
Its own pay.
Nice.
So you build that wealth in your business so that you're able to grow. Because you need capital to grow. So you need to open another store.
You have to accrue.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And that accrual is not buying personal assets. That accrual is buying business assets, assets that will work to generate more wealth. So if my one bit of advice is, yes, pay yourself and pay yourself well for the job that you're doing if you were working for somebody else, and live on that pay. That is how you, and then the rest of the money you put into the business with the idea and the mindset that you're going to invest it in the future. And a lot of people will say, and this is where an entrepreneur is so different than everybody else. I don't want to invest my money in stocks. I don't have control over stock prices. I don't know if Mr. Elon Musk is going to walk into a room and smoke ganja and stock prices crash.
Wow.
I have no control over that. But I can take my money and I can open anything, and I control that destiny. And that is what I prefer. I prefer to say, okay, I have my money and I'm going to, whatever it is.
And it's on you.
It's on me.
You did it. Yeah.
If I fail, it's on me. It's
Yeah.
not some external circumstance or some external. And I would even say, sometimes when these external shocks happen, if you have been doing a good job or if you are managing your destiny, you find a way out. So COVID was a great example of it. And because of your past relationships, because of your drive, and you find your way out of it. You don't sit back and say, oh my God, the sky is gonna fall and we're all going to die. No. This is how we move forward. This is how we get out of this mess. This is the plan, and we're going to stick to it.
And because of how you would have had to dig deep initially, you only knew you had to just go to that gear again.
You
So
had
it was
to.
already built in.
I mean, when COVID hit, place was closed, and everybody, what are we going to do? How are we going to get out of this? And we found a way. I mean, we opened Deja immediately after the Prime Minister lifted a couple of weeks after the Prime Minister lifted the ban, the complete lockdown, with 5 rooms. No, 5 rooms couldn't sustain Deja. But we were honest with our guests and we're like, look,
This is what we have.
nobody's going to be working here. You're going to get a receptionist. You're going to get your room clean.
That's it.
That's it. We'll come cook some breakfast for you in the morning, but the same chef that cooked the breakfast going to serve it to you.
And that's it.
And that's it. That's what we can afford to do now.
Just make it happen.
And
Make it happen.
And the company was like, okay, we need to come down. You're the only business in town. And it worked. Moved from 5 to 10 to 15.
Again.
Till we had to hire a waitress to serve the breakfast because it was so much,
People.
And then we had to extend the housekeeping and where we are is where we are now.
So now we're at the favorite part of the program, my favorite part anyway, and it's where we take a little step back to ourselves, because when is the last time you held
thought you were
a pack
kidding.
of I
I really thought you were kidding.
wasn't. I wasn't. When is the last time you held a pack of crayons?
It's been a long time.
Don't worry, it's been just long enough. So when I think of some of what you've described, and as I was preparing, that's the image that came to mind. All those moving parts, but nonetheless, keeping it moving. Pick a color, man. Anyone.
All right.
Yeah. And so you can begin to create your image or color what's there while we ask the final set of questions. These questions are easy peasy. Who has been your greatest inspiration or what?
My greatest inspiration. Who has been my greatest inspiration? It's hard. I don't think there's any.
Or just maybe just a good solid person who had an impact on maybe on how you do business.
It's been a series of persons who I have seen, and I can't put anybody right now, but there are a few things that I've seen people do, and the one thing that has always inspired me is their ability to care. So I'll use an example of like Round Hill Hotel. I had conversations with trade unionists and stuff, and Round Hill is under the trade union. And one of the conversations I had with them was, every time we went to Round Hill to negotiate a pay increase, by the time we got into the room, they had already not only increased their pay, but increased their pay even more than what we thought it would have been. The same thing with like companies like Jamaica Inn and some. When you go to these places, they have people that have worked there for 30 years. And you're saying, why would somebody work in an organization for 30 years? What are you doing
To keep this person.
to keep this person?
They care.
And it's not just pay.
Yeah.
It's the ability to care, the ability that when you, is that blanket, that secure blanket that if something should happen to me, I know my boss is here. So we've seen it. I see it, like I said, even at Round Hill, where the accountant's daughter got sick and she needed to get transportation, and they chartered a private plane for her to go up. And I'm saying, I can't do that yet, but I do wish to do that.
It's inspiring.
I do wish to have money or to have the resources that if something should happen, we're able to do it. And that has inspired me. Just the ability to care and the ability to make people around you feel that you care about them.
Yeah. I love that. Are you a reading kind of person? A bookish guy?
I do read.
What's your favorite book?
Boy. I many books I have read, and one that always sticks out is The Richest Man in Babylon. That's the core of I think of any good business, and they demonstrate that in the book very well. There's just many books. I'm reading a book now called Behave. I've read many books. I read a book called The Shack. So spiritually, I was in a bad place. I couldn't figure out, what was I doing? What was God, what wasn't God, which religion was right, which religion was wrong. And I read a book called The Shack, and it kind of put me back on a
Perspective, right?
yeah. It really helped me.
Because it doesn't even present God as he's ever, been traditionally presented.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you listen to Buju that tell us that it's a woman from long time. But if there was any part of your life outside of business that, you had the opportunity to change, would you have changed it?
Like I said,
Everything becomes valuable at a point.
Exactly.
And it's what you do with it.
We all make mistakes, and I think through our mistakes, if we use our mistakes positively, I truly believe that if I was given this level of responsibility a couple years ago, and when I say couple, it might be 20, but whatever it is, I might not have handled it the best way. I think that we make mistakes, and through those mistakes, we look back and say, wow, why did I do those things back then? But if I didn't do it back then, maybe I would have done it today. So I look at it like that, if I didn't do this back then, would I be trying to do it today? And if I did it today, then it would have been bad, So I look at the past as a learning experience more than a mistake.
That's good. Is there anything you would change about the world? If you had a magic wand, it doesn't take any effort, just a flick of the wrist, and we are done with these things, what would it be? 3.
I wish you could get rid of selfishness. I wish people would stop thinking that they're insular, and that the decisions that they make don't affect the other people around them. I wish people would care just a little bit more about their community and their people.
Neighbor.
So, I truly believe that I'm going to live here the rest of my life. And I got married to a Canadian, but I never ever applied for Canadian papers and I always told her, she was like, just apply, just apply. You never know, you never know when you're going to leave here. And I always said, the day I left Jamaica to live away, I would never come back. I would never come back to visit. I would just never come back. Because if I had to leave Jamaica, it would mean that
you were pushed out of Jamaica.
I was pushed out of Jamaica, or that you're going to leave now and you would never want to come back. So I'm going to live here. And in me living here, I also believe that I'm not going to build a taller wall. I'm not going to live behind a gate and build tall walls and think that is life. No, I am a Jamaican that is coming from drinking Milo in Champ Square at 3 o'clock in the morning, or going to the Pan Chicken Monday man and walking downtown freely. And the only way you're going to do that is if everybody in Jamaica feels that they're a part of it. So yeah, I would hope that it's not just about acquiring wealth, but building and empowering people around you to do better. And I know it might sound silly, but I wish we could stop being violent against each other. I really wish that instead of being violent, that we'd be more understanding and we would argue more. Or even if we are going to be violent against each other, because sometimes it does take violence. Sometimes a man needs to really, that it wouldn't be to the point of killing. Me and you going to argue, and me and you going to fight, and guess what?
Not harmful.
Not harmful.
Right.
At the end of it now, we're going to get back together and say, say, you were wrong, I was wrong, I'm sorry. Maybe I should not have resorted to violence. When you push it to the point that you kill someone, or you really create that harm that you can never forgive, it's hard. And I really hope that we wouldn't push the level to that we would continue to be respectful of each other. And being respectful doesn't mean that I have to agree with what you're saying. It just means that I have to respect the position that you have taken. I don't have to agree with you.
And just note it and move on.
And move on.
Yeah.
I definitely don't have to agree with you.
Okay. So our final question.
Fine.
The book I drop tomorrow. The book is about Robin Russell. You've written this book. What would you name it?
You know, as I don't know. It's
I know the book is not yet, the life isn't complete, but for where it is now.
it's you know what, I have lived a life of inclusion. You know, I've lived a life of hospitality from a very young age. My father was the chief, what do you call him? The man that everybody knows and always over at the house. So we've always been hospitable, and I think that would be how I have lived my life. I try to make people feel very comfortable when they're around us, and I guess that would be the one single factor that has been always throughout my life. I always try to accommodate, and I always try to.
So Robin Russell, Life of Hospitality.
There you go.
Life of Hospitality.
Life of Hospitality.
So while Mr. Russell continues to color his image, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for staying with us for this episode 2 of Hopecast. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, the whole thing. And of course, leave a comment. Let us know which part of this conversation stood out to you the most. See you soon. Go on, color your gear them.
I'm done.